All right. Well, thank you very much for joining us today, everyone. Today is Friday, May 8th already. First week of May is done and on for a better May when the weather gets nicer. It's getting a little cold and it's snowing in little places. I hope our agents across Ohio, if anybody's seeing some snow, I heard from one agent this morning in Lake County, or is it Geauga County, had some snow coming down. So always nice to see that. But we always like to see the sun come out because in real estate, that means the spring market is here and ready to go. So, but today's topic is going to be a little bit about objection handling when you have sellers that are scared about putting their house up for sale and finding a house to buy. We all have gone through that as agents. We have sellers that really want to buy, but there's a lack of inventory and they're worried if they put their house up for sale. Sometimes they feel they're going to be homeless. They don't know what to do first. Should they buy first? Should they sell first? What should they do? And of course, that's where we come in as their trusted real estate advisor to help them make these decisions on what's best for them and the kind of research that we kind of have to do. So that's the topic today. So I'm going to start my slides, and for the agents that have called in, I will explain what's on the screen. So don't worry, you're not missing anything on that either. So, okay. So day 15 of 20 days of the daily real estate workout. Remember, the 4 things that you should be doing every day is stretching, which is getting motivated for the day. Do some daily motivation. Find your own motivation. Find something on Facebook. Find something online. I have several apps that send me motivational quotes every day. So there's ways to automate it so you don't have to go out there searching for something. Hopefully you already have, because it really does affect your mood for the rest of the day. It does for me. And sometimes I'm spending a few minutes or more looking for the right motivation for the day because, again, if you get off on the wrong foot for the day, sometimes it's hard to get back on track. So look for that good motivation. Warm up your day, get your goals focused, what you want to accomplish for the day. Make sure your calendar is organized. Make sure you're ready. You have your space ready. If you're one of those people, I'm an OCD type person. I need my space. I need my environment ready for work. I'm not one of those people that could be in like working from home is hard if I'm in a joint area where other people are coming and going. Same with me at the office. I need my door shut. I need everything organized. So if you need to be that way, make sure you're set up for the day so you could get that your what you want accomplished done. And then I've been suggesting this for agents for years. You should have a time limit too. Now, if I haven't said this enough, is have a time limit of how often, how long you want to work with breaks. Some people just jump into, I'm going to work until I get tired or get bored of it. You could very much schedule breaks in there. I'm going to work for 45 minutes, take a 15-minute break. You should really have that in there. If you're going into, I'm going to work for a while, especially if being at home more often during quarantine, you should have a set time. Again, it's in being in real estate and being an independent contractor, we're our own bosses, good or bad. Being your own boss is sometimes hard to organize yourself and make yourself accountable for doing those things every day. And then, of course, your workout for the day is making those calls and connections and emails and texts. And make sure you're connecting with people every day. Make sure you're connecting with new people, trying to connect with people, reaching out through text, through Facebook Messenger, through friend requests, through social network, Instagram. You need to be connecting with new people every day, or at least trying to connect, which sending out Facebook requests, sending out messages. Cool down for the end of the day. Of course, remember to always reevaluate what you accomplished for the day. Make sure you have if you're the type person similar to me where OCD, I need to have that checklist. I have that checklist of what I want to accomplish for today, and I just don't feel right if that checklist does not get accomplished. And I always have enough. If you have pending business and pending clients and things going on, of course, you're always going to have things coming in at you. Thing we all do as real estate, because that's what one of the things probably we all love about it is you never know what the next day has in store. So you're always going to be reacting to things that you have to do, but make sure you have enough on your plate for the day to fill in for what you're going to get done. And then in between, you're going to have to work on the things coming in. That always does. You know, a buyer calling you, want to going over their inspection and change things. A lender calling you saying they need documents. Can you call your client? A title company getting a hold of you, saying trying to get a hold of your buyer for closing. The other agent trying to call you, trying to figure out when to deliver keys and where to give the keys to. We all know all the different things that come in and we have to react to. So make sure your day is filled with stuff that you're going to be proactive and do yourself. So first, the motivation of today is trust the wait, embrace the uncertainty, enjoy the beauty of becoming. With nothing, when nothing is certain, anything is possible. So kind of, I picked this motivational quote because today's topic is about sellers that might feel uncertain about what to do. Should they list their house now when they haven't found a house? And what happens if they found a house and haven't sold their house? That uncertainty. And as their trusted real estate advisor, we give that experience, that knowledge, to explain to them everything's going to be okay. We're there for them, make sure that everything goes smoothly, and trust that the process that you're going to help put in place to make sure everything goes as smoothly as possible with a new buy when you have a house to sell. So first, we're going to talk about something that you could post today. This is donating blood. So we all have a part to play in our community. One of the great things you can do is donate blood, and it's very easy to find a location. So this could show when you put the Red Cross, www.redcross.org, as on your Facebook page, Instagram, something kind of a community announcement, and you could post in there too. You could just put in there that it's easy to find a location. A lot of us, if you give blood every year or you have ever donated blood, sometimes we just get it in our head. We're like, oh, there's the sign. We saw it on the road. We saw it, at the church. We saw it at the school. We saw it at wherever they're having a blood drive, and it brings us in or makes us think about it. But there is a very easy way of going on to the Red Cross website and typing in your zip code, and it'll give you all the convenient locations that they're in, especially when there's times of national crisis and health concerns and pandemic going on. There's always a need to give back what we can do. Obviously, we're all not doctors and nurses and caregivers but we could do our part and give blood. So use this as a time to do a community type of announcement and post something like this on your social network. Now we'll get kind of into the topic. Something to think about: objections and lack of inventory. So sellers are sometimes hesitant to list their current homes without the confidence that they will find a new place to live. Own this objection by addressing concerns and the seller's mindset. So several times a month, I'm on the phone coaching an agent, one of our agents, on how to handle, how to help, how to calm their nerves, how to help a seller understand what the process is going to be like. And always it's if I put my house up for sale first, I will, I don't find a house. They're going to want to move in within 30 days. I'll be homeless. What happens if I find a new house and after the inspection we don't like it or something's not right and we have to go back and tell the buyers they're buying our house that the contract's off because whatever happened with the new house. So I'm going to give you some thoughts. If you haven't been through this before, I'm sure anybody come across this a lot, because a lot of people can't buy without selling, but we do have a lot that have vacant homes. People have moved out already. And if you don't have to go through a situation like that, or a seller could move out before they sell, that's better logistically, but a lot of times financially can't be done. So number one thing to always, of course, remember is that even if they show it out front, that they look like they're very confident, they're calm, they said they've been through it before, maybe several years ago. You never know, they might be that be show for show. They're just showing, you know, a good front. They're showing that they can handle this. They don't want to show really how they're feeling. They're nervous. So, you know, at a moment's notice, you know, if something goes wrong, they could really unravel, and you have to pick up the pieces and help them out. So always be calm, always explain things. I've had agents in the past that do a great job of it because they just understand it. And some agents, just because of their personality, maybe a little bit high strung, I always got to say, we got to keep it down a notch a little bit just to keep them calm, keep them that you're here, don't worry, we're going to get through this. So it's all, number one, about emotion, keeping calm, and helping them understand that your process is going to be okay. And remember, of course, inventory. You got to really check on the inventory of what's going on out there with houses they're selling and what they're buying. So that's kind of the next slide. We'll go into that. Is before you call a potential seller or talk to a seller that is in this position, there's a few things that you want to do. Number one, check the inventory in the area. So check the inventory in their area of where they're selling. So you can see how many houses are on the market close to their price range. If you have an idea what their price range is going to be, make sure that you check the days on market to see how long they've been on market, and then also check the solds. The next thing is calculate the absorption rate. So what that's going to do is kind of give you an idea when you talk to them how quickly you think their house may sell if priced correctly. So again, we kind of went over that yesterday with absorption rate, but same thing here. If you see that there's 5 houses for sale in a certain price range in their neighborhood, their community, where that's comparable to them. Because again, I always say community because you never know. I say some cities are like 5 cities in one. You know, this side of town, that side of town, east, west, north, south, different. They're totally different neighborhoods. City, like I said, it could be 4 cities in one. So check their neighborhood, make sure it's comparable and in their community where the buyers are looking in that community too. So if there's 5 houses for sale in that price range, and you look back and 5 houses have sold in the last 3 months, you have a good chance you're going to sell all 5 of those houses in the next 3 months. So 5 houses for sale, 5 houses sold will be gone in probably 3 months if all priced correctly. So you can explain them. Your house is probably going to sell pretty quickly. Also look at those market times, because if all those ones that sold were less than 10 days, 7 days, you go, wow, they're going quickly. So you could do that analysis. So when you talk to them and have this conversation with them, you could show that you're an expert in the market. You know what's going on. You're seeing what's happening out there. You've seen those houses. And also remember, they might have been watching too. Not every sale, but if this is a house right across the street or down the street from there on the same street, that could be a neighbor that they've known and they know their house. They kind of know what's happening sometimes. So if you're not knowledgeable about that and they're telling you what's happening in their market, they might question your expertise if you say stuff like, wow, I didn't know that, or oh really. You always make them feel like you've done the research, you know. So if they say the house across the street, oh, I know the house across the street sold for, $255 and they had on market for 3 days, you can say, yes, oh yeah, no, I saw that too. That's they sold for asking price within a couple days. I can't tell from this record, but I'm sure they had probably multiple offers. I could call the other agents. I know that other agent. I'll call them, find out if there's any backstory to that. So we could dig in even deeper if you want to by calling other agents, finding out what's going on. Even appraisers do that. So if you have ever gotten a call, and I know in the past I used to get calls from appraisers just saying, hey, I saw you sold that property 6 months ago. Was it this price? Was there anything out of the ordinary? Was it, they're just really desperate to sell, or did you have multiple offers? These are sometimes where appraisers are really digging in. So you could do the same thing to find out and help get more information from them. I mean, that's going the extra mile. You're welcome to do that, of course, but that could help them too. Now, if you already know where we're thinking about going, or you asked them before you sat down with them, then calculate the inventory in the areas they want to buy. So see how fast the houses there that are selling in that kind of price range in that area. So you can see how fast they go, because you might have to move quickly. So say you could, again, kind of reverse absorption rate. You go see how many houses are for sale, how many houses sold, how quickly they're selling, and see the market time. So what I always suggest to sellers, if you're going into a market there's lack of inventory, houses are going fast, we need to try to get your house under contract with the contingency to find a new house. So that's kind of the next step that we're going to talk about, is that you could definitely make the house sale contingent on them finding a new house with certain dates and times in there. If your house, if you're talking to that seller, Mr. or Mrs. Seller, your house is there's a lack of inventory in this area, houses are selling quickly, there could be a lot of buyers out there that are willing to wait. And you find the right buyer that is, one, renting and can wait, because they could just rent month to month. They might be, if you're in an area that the house might be a first-time home buyer type house, they might be living with someone else. They might be living somewhere where they could get out of their lease. There's different scenarios that could happen where these people will wait. A lot of times sellers don't understand that or don't think about that, because they don't think that they're in that position. They're not going to, they want to sell first before they buy, before they put an offer on a house. So I always suggest, my opinion is, put the house up for sale, because you got to be ready. You might find the right buyer for that. And again, in this market, every once in a while, I'll have agents be concerned about market time. Of course, as agents, normally we're worried about if we put something up too soon that we might not sell for a while, or if we put it up and it goes contingent for 30 days, and then maybe something happens, they don't find something, goes back on the market, that there's going to be kind of stigma to it, where other buyers are going to go, why did it go on market? Why was it contingent for 30 days and then it went off and went back active? And why now the market time, when all the houses are selling for in 10 days, this one is market time now shows 40 days. I feel that that is a concern, but when there's a lack of inventory in the seller's market, it's not that big of a concern. My opinion, my experience over 28 years, where that is more of a problem or concern is when it's a buyer's market. Say there's 30 houses for sale, and a lot of agents here that have never been through a buyer's market, and you're new to the industry or the last 10 years and you've never been in it, where there's more houses than buyers. Someday in the future, there's going to be a market where there's 40 houses for sale in a price range and only 5 buyers that are going to be buying in the next month. We don't know when that's going to happen, that they may happen sometime. And then that's where those stigma happens, where you have 30 houses for sale in a price range. The buyer wants to see all 30 houses and you're trying to narrow it down. Sometimes I feel that agents look at the properties and go, wow, this one's been on the market a little bit longer. Let's put that one over on last. We'll see all these other ones first, because there might be something wrong with that. Maybe a bad appraisal, maybe a bad inspection, maybe sellers are being unreasonable. We paint these pictures because we're trying to narrow down that list down. So sometimes agents do that. So that type of market, when it's a buyer's market, I feel that's more that stigma. So right now, I personally wouldn't feel that worried about if for some reason you get an offer on the house, 30 days goes by, they don't find something to buy, and then that buyer wants to walk away, buy something else because they haven't found something and now the market time is. So if you follow me on that logic there. So again, the logistics of that is just putting the house on the market, looking for the right buyer, explaining it to the seller, don't worry, we're going to put it in contingent that you're going to find a house. And if you don't find a house within a certain period of time, I usually suggest 30 days because it's our seller. The buyer might, their buyer's agent might bring it down because they know that houses are moving fast. You know, you got to find a house within 2 weeks, 3 weeks. They might move that down there, but we're always going to make sure that there's time in there for you to find something and can move quickly. Of course, most important too is making sure they're pre-approved and that the lender is ready. The lender understands this is the house, this is the equity, they're pre-approved and ready to go. Also, let the sellers know that you're going to be really doing a thorough job in looking at the buyer as much as possible, as much as the information they'll give. What I mean by that is pre-approved, how much money they're putting down, talking to the other agent. I mean talking, like calling on the phone, having a conversation, and you working for the seller should be there asking as many questions as the buyer's agent is willing to answer. So sometimes agents, again, this is a negotiation. You work for the seller. When it's your listing, you have a right to ask whatever questions you want outside of the legal discriminatory practices that, that we can't discriminate against certain things, but financing is not one of them. Financing, discriminating against financing. You could ask about their finance. Do they have a pre-approval? Or is their job secure? You could ask these questions. Do they have the money for the down payment? Are they, you could ask these questions. They don't have to give you the answer. They could choose, we like to keep that private if the buyer doesn't want to divulge that. But you could ask them questions about how motivated they are as a buyer, and we get these stories all the time from buyers agents that sometimes you get letters. Have you ever gotten a letter with the offer saying how motivated these buyers are? They lost out on a few other houses. They need to move by school because their kids want to be in the school system. They're a great family. Their kids, their cousins live down the street. Whatever story to try to put them above someone else in a multiple offer situation. So you can kind of do the reverse as a listing agent: is ask questions, see how motivated these buyers are. And then you could hear when you're talking on the phone with that buyer's agent, find out what's going on with that buyer, how motivated they are. Are these people, this is the fourth house they put an offer on, and they've always found something wrong, and they get out after the inspection, or they're just tire kickers. They're like, they're really not sure if they need to buy. They kind of like this area, or they have very, very limited funds. So if the inspection comes back and there's anything that needs to be done, they might be very concerned about that and want out of the transaction. So the whole point of that is that you are explaining to your seller that these are the things that you're going to go and make sure that they're secure. That when we pick a buyer, the buyer house, we're going to do everything we can to make sure they're a solid buyer as much as possible to buy your property, especially if you're in a multiple offer situation and really figuring out which is the best buyer. That's a whole nother scenario you could give the sellers of being in multiple offers, and how you can explain your expertise and your experience in being in a multiple offers and trying to give them the advice of which buyer you feel is probably the strongest buyer that will going to perform on the transactions. Now, my opinion, again, I'm putting this out there, is when we go into multiple offer situations and you have a seller that needs to definitely sell and they're going to be buying a house and there could be a whole domino effect. If you're not getting it, you should and really get on the phone with every one of these agents that you're considering their offer and have this conversation with them about their buyers and see what they tell you. In real estate, I do have a pet peeve. One of the big pet peeves I have a lot of times is agents not talking, not communicating other than text, email. And when you're a seller's agent and you have a listing agent for the seller, and you're bringing in offers from other agents and you're not having a conversation with them about how strong their buyers are to find out more information about how motivated they are, you really should. That should help you out in the negotiations and which ones to pick. And the other way around too, if you are a buyer's agent, especially in a multiple offer situation, and you're just throwing a number, emailing the offer and not calling the listing agent to sell them on your buyer, Sell them on you. Also, sorry, I'm not getting off track, but when you are a buyer's agent in multiple offer situation, you should be calling the other agent, the listing agent, and selling yourself to that listing agent. Example, I'm sorry, I'm not going to go too far off this topic, but I kind of got on it, was that you call the listing agent, you're in a multiple offer situation, you say, listen, I just want to let you know I'm on the ball. Yeah, my buyers are very interested in this house. They're motivated. They love this house. I promise that as an agent, I'll be available for you. If you call me, I'll call you right back. If I don't pick up, I'll text you right back. I'm on top of their financing. I'm on top of the title company. I will be there to let them in for the inspector to be let in. I'll be there to make sure all documents and preparation is done, because I know agents out there, sometimes when it's up in the air right in between a couple offers, and there's one agent that they know had a great experience with and one agent they didn't, or even worse, if you have an offer that doesn't go through or something falls apart in a deal as an agent, and you show and had a bad experience with an agent and communication, that might help hurt their buyer, because you're like, that agent, you know, the last buyer they had flaked out, they didn't communicate with me, I don't know what happened. So always, I tell all of our buyers agents that are in multiple offers, just sell yourself and how great you're going to do and communicate. So anytime that you're in another multiple offer situation with that listing agent, they're going to know that you are on top of things and that you're a joy to deal with as an agent, and be so helpful. Because we all know, and if you've been in this business long enough, you're going to come across some agents that just don't communicate like they should. They're not picking up the phone. They're not texting back. They're not keeping you updated on what's going on with their buyer. They kind of fall off the planet for a while, and it hurts hurts the transaction. It hurts your job as an agent and your clients, because you can't get answers over there. So we've all been through that. You're probably sitting there like, yes, I know, Tony, I've been through that. It's not fun. So remember, when you're on the other side, you're the buyer side, do that. So sorry, I went off the tangent there on that. So again, before you call your sellers, or before you have the conversation with them about all of this, so like you could have an initial conversation with them, tell them what's going on, and go, let me do some research here, check the inventory in the area, check calculate the absorption rate of where they live, look in reverse of where they're going, and kind of tell them how fast everything is selling and how fast this could move. Next is just something you can say, and I went over a little bit this, here's the objection, here's kind of the response. I said, objection from the seller is, if I sell my home now, I worry I won't have anywhere to move due to lack of inventory. Response, I completely understand. A seller's market is a great place to be when you are selling a property. If we can find a way to make the sale of this house contingent on the successful purchase of your next home, or allow for more than a 30-day closing, would it make sense for you to move forward? So, of course, we always want to make sure that this is the right time for them to sell, that they want to sell. Of course, we can never convince someone to sell when they don't want to sell. I firmly believe that. I've never come across an agent, unless it was an investment purpose. You know, I've had agents that work with investors, that's a money thing, like, yeah, this is a good investment, you should buy this, or you should sell now, it's a good time, the market's high, the values are high, you could buy something else. Of course, an investment, but if it's for themselves, their family, their first home, they're downsizing, their new job, whatever situation, they're in the market, they're ready, but you basically have to show that you feel that the market is good for them in the aspect of they're selling their house, and be able to buy a house and be able to do both. So if there's, and which I hope is not this scenario, but if they really need to sell and want to sell, and they're looking and for something that they can't find that's not active now, something that they don't even want to, that's not even on the market now and hasn't been on the market. So an example is, if they say, well, yeah, we're looking for a 4-bedroom, 2.5-bath colonial in this price range, and you look in the area they're looking and there's nothing, then check the solds and go, wow, there's nothing over the last 90 days that even meets their criteria. Keep going back and see how far it might 6 months. So if for some reason you get in this scenario where something they're looking for, the house they're looking for in a certain area, and they're really set on that city, that area, and they're not going to go off from that, there hasn't been a house that meets their criteria for 6 months. It might take 6 months for another house. You don't know that. So that's something where you could use your expertise, your research, and go, listen, the last house that meets at 6 months ago. So if we put your house up for sale now, yeah, that's great, but we can't do 30 days. We don't know when that next house will be coming up in the market. But so you could give them that advice. If you say, hey, there's a couple houses right now that you might want to buy, and there's over the last 90 days or 30 days, 4 sold or 10 sold, whatever. So there's a good chance of, again, history repeats itself, that there's a good chance of this, and over the next several weeks or month or two, those houses are going to come back on. Especially now what's going on out there with the quarantine and COVID. I think there's going to be a jump in listings coming up, and definitely markets, because sellers have been holding off. I know in our office, we have many agents that have listings just on hold, ready to hit the market because the sellers are waiting. So it's going to hit. So I would suggest today. So I'll go today. If someone says, I want to sell my house, but I don't know where I'm going to live and nothing's on the market in the area, look about 2-3 months ago. But also 2 things are happening now. This is going to get better, or people are going to get out. People are going to feel more comfortable putting their houses up for sale. And spring, when it doesn't snow and it's not 40 degrees outside. And then spring is going to hit and summer is going to hit. So we're going to have 2 big things that hit. Again, I don't have a crystal ball. You don't see a crystal ball behind me, but that's my prediction on that. So I would suggest to sellers, be ready. Also, any buyers coming in, if their house is on the market, understand with a good conversation with the buyer's agent, go, listen, we put the house up for sale. There's nothing on the market right this second, but we hope over the next few weeks or month, there's going to be something that pops up. You have to have a buyer that's going to wait until the market picks up, back up a little bit, and more houses come on the market for these sellers. So I'll stop sharing my screen here. So that's basically a little bit of information on what you can do and what you could say to sellers that are worried about that. But again, every situation is different. So if you use me as a resource, if you want to run any ideas by me, it's all around the same, but I really, when I sit down with an agent while I'm coaching them, I find out a little bit more about the buyers, what's going on with them, their family, their reason for moving, their jobs, as much as they know, to paint a picture to see what's best, where we think is best for them, and what to best advise them on what it is to do. And nowadays there's so many different things because of health. There might have a family member that needs help. I've had buyers, I've had sellers over the last few months that all of a sudden someone's in the hospital. Now things are on hold for a week or 2 because they just can't deal with it emotionally of what's going on. So you got to see what's going on with them. If there's any things that you think that might be hiccups in a transaction with what they're buying or selling, just make them aware of that. I just had a buyer yesterday that totally forgot that they were going out of town because everything going on. I'm like, oh yeah, we're closing next week, but we're going out of town on Monday. I'm like, but you're closing. And now we're scrambling to find out, where they're going, or if they could close sooner. This stuff happens. So make sure you're sitting down with the buyer, because when they're buying a house, selling a house, there are things going on in the world, their family, they might forget about an important thing like this. This client forgot that they were going out of town before closing, right before closing of a house. Even though the dates are on the contract, the agent just didn't think to ask that they would be traveling during this time. And we're kind of putting that together and trying to last minute make sure everything closes on time and smoothly. So, but that's the kind of thing that I enjoy. Hate those situations that we have to help the people like this, but I enjoy helping and figuring out a way and making sure everything goes as smoothly as possible when new things come up. So That's it for today. Thank you very much for watching. Monday, we'll have a new topic, and then I will kind of tell you what's going to be going on the next week and how we're going to continue on with some daily meetings and daily workouts. So that's it. Have a wonderful day and a great weekend, and I hope to talk and see many of you very soon. Bye-bye.